How's it going, folks? Doing another best ball draft. This is the Underdog Big Board 50K. And looking like we got pick number 6. Let's hop into the draft room. See what's available for us. 6 is a spot where we could take like Kelsey, Jonathan Taylor, Barkley. So we'll have our choice of either a big running back or Kelsey. Henry, Kamara, Taylor, or Kelsey. We'll have a pick of 2 of those. So it looks like it'll be Derrick Henry, Kamara, or Kelsey. I've been getting some Kelsey a little later, finally, like in the 1-8 territory. So I'm gonna grab Kamara only because I haven't had a single share of him yet. So nice to finally get a Kamara share. He was the most important player championship week last year, which means nothing for this year. But definitely a player I don't want to have 0% ownership on, and nice to snatch up a share here at 6. Good pick by Green Goblin. He's in like a lot of these drafts with me. I would have definitely picked Kelsey in this spot as well. So this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about ownership percentage. You know, it's really, really early, obviously. February 21st, we're doing best ball drafts, so that's kind of crazy. But this is the time of year, if you're doing these, you want to push your ownership percentage like real hard, right? Like, you are not concerned about having too much of somebody in February because you can fix that problem as the year goes on. So anybody you think you are getting at value now that you think their value is going to go up, you want to like absolutely hammer in these drafts. So that's like a lot of the rookies that you really want to be drafting in this that you think you can get at value. Some other guys I think you can get at value are like Daniel Jones, Adam Troutman, Cole Kmet, quite a few wide receivers. A.J. Dillon. So A.J. Dillon is like going in around 5, 6 of these, which may seem like bad value, but if Aaron Jones signs somewhere else, he's going to be going in around 3. So you want to be hammering your A.J. Dillon shares right now. Because once he jumps up into 3, he might even get into like round 2. I want no fucking part of drafting him in round 2 or 3. So I'd rather just have a ton of him in round 5, 6. And, you know, even if Aaron Jones was to go back to Green Bay, as long as Jamal Williams left, I think A.J. Dillon would still, you know, going around like 7, 8 area. So you aren't getting punished that badly for paying the 5, 6 price for him. So like he would almost go down as much as he would go up, but like moving up 2 rounds matters more than moving down 2 rounds does, obviously. Even though they are 2 rounds each, the effect it has on your team is quite different. We're going to get a really good pick in round 2. I don't think I've picked in this 6 range much, so we have our choice between like Aaron Jones, Kittle, Zeke, Antonio Gibson, basically like any wide receiver we want. Ooh, Goblin took Kelsey round 1, so I don't think he's going to take Kittle here, which is fantastic for us. Kittle's been a player it's been kind of hard to get any picks of at value, so I really like this. Like he goes kind of early round 2 a lot. So he's got Kelsey Swift, and we've got Kamara, Kittle, starting off similar. It's only my second share of Kittle I've been able to get. Like I said, he's been going pretty early in round 2, and I just generally like other players too much in that range. But mid-round 2, I'm kind of excited to pick that. So yeah, anybody you think you're getting at value now, you should kind of be like hammering. and then like later on you can just like fade them, right? So a lot of like the depth quarterbacks I'm picking now because I'm staying away from the rookies that are not named Trevor Lawrence. So I'm getting like a lot of like Goff and Wentz and well, not that much Wentz until like now that he's on Indy, I'll be getting a lot more of him. So I was avoiding him until he had a landing spot. But like once it becomes clear which rookie quarterbacks could, start right away and which ones won't, start to get more ownership on those guys. Najee Harris and Etienne are also guys that I want to get ownership on at this time because, like, I think Harris is going to end up maybe even early round 2 by the time it's like August and we're drafting these, and Etienne will probably be in round 3, depending on landing spots. But those guys could like move up a ton. So right now we have our eye kind of on running backs and Michael Thomas for my next pick. Michael Thomas is gone, so we're for sure taking a running back. So it'll be Dobbins, Mixon, Sanders, or Najee. I would probably take Mixon over Najee here only because like I have tons and tons of Najee shares that I got later in round 3, and to have like one Mixon share. But I might change my mind here in a second. I'm interested to see where this person goes. I would love to get Miles Sanders. That would be my favorite. All right. So yeah, I am going to take Sanders over Harris just because it's easier to get Harris shares now and to have a ton of them. So I like starting off with Kamara, Miles Sanders, George Kittle. Since we took Kittle pretty early, we're going to try to really push our second tight end pick down a ways. I haven't yet to get a Troutman share because I get like queasy about gambling that he'll still be there once it's into that bottom tier tight ends. So, but I might try to target Komet or Troutman a little bit later as my backup tight end. That way we can fill out some stronger wide receivers in the middle. So yeah, in these early ones, we've been using 3 QB, 5 running backs, 8 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends. This mostly has to do with me listening to Justin Herzig establish the Run podcast where he was a guest, and he was the winner of the Underdog 200K and explained a little bit of his roster constructions and whatnot. The one he won the 200K with, he actually only had 4 running backs. I think you're too unlikely to get out of your original pod of 13, your original 12-man pod that ends week 13 to get into the playoffs with that roster construction. So, like, the best roster construction to get out of that first pod that you're in of 12 teams is to have 6 running backs, 7 wide receivers. But it's harder to actually win the thing with that roster construction, so that's why we're going down to 5 running backs and 8 wide receivers. Gives you a little bit more juice in the championship weeks. The reason that is just because like wide receivers are incredibly like up and down, so where running backs are a little bit more steady. Might be taking a running back here. Depends what these next 2 picks are. I think I'm going to go Julio Jones if I'm not taking a running back. So I would take Etienne or Montgomery first and then Julio next. So that's between Etienne and Julio. I'm going to take Etienne here. Mid-round 4. It's pretty decent value on him. It stinks to let Julio go by there, but I've gotten some Julio in round 4, and I think we're really, really going to love our options next round at wide receiver, and we're really, really not going to like our options next round at running back. Aside for, I guess, if maybe A.J. Dillon were to drop to us. Another guy I think that we want to get extra ownership on right now is Ronald Jones. Because if by some chance Fournette doesn't go back to Tampa Bay, which I actually do expect him to, even though they don't have that much money. I expect him to go back only because, one, there's not going to be much market for him, I don't think, out there. And two, they're obviously going to want him back to some degree, right? Because he was like a playoff hero for them, really fit into the team all right. He was almost going to be released if he didn't stop complaining at one point, and he seemed to like suck it up and shut up and then listen to Bruce Arians and ended up the possible MVP of their playoff run. Kind of interested to see what options we are going to have at this pick. Really like Cooper Kupp, Courtland Sutton. Those are probably my top two wide receivers on the board. Glad AJ Dillon went because I just didn't really want to pick him here. I have a ton of him. Cooper Kupp going, that's not good. It's between Deontay. He went too. So I guess Courtland Sutton's definitely my top wide receiver. Question is, do we want to just go with like Kyler Murray here? I might be able to get Courtland Sutton the next round. I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna go with Courtland Sutton. Pick our quarterback a little bit later. I've drafted quarterbacks in this range quite a bit, so don't really need to keep taking them. Next round, we can definitely consider quarterback or look at what we got for wide receiver options. I like Chark and Lockett and some other guys that are left up on the board still. Sutton was probably like a tier above everybody else that was left at wide receiver for me, so seemed like a pretty cut and dry pick there. I'm sure to see what Green Goblin's team looks like. Pretty similar to ours. He's got 3 running backs, wide receiver, and a tight end. He's definitely stronger than us at wide receiver and tight end, and definitely weaker than us at running back. I like to kind of keep track of what other teams are doing, look at other roster constructions and stuff while I go through these drafts. So we're going to pretty much be either looking at QB or wide receiver when it's our pick. Chris Carson off the board. Don't really know what's going to happen with him. I would suspect him to get a starting job, but I don't know what percentage of the touches that means he'll be getting. It wouldn't overly surprise me to see a team like the Chargers go after Chris Carson either. Like a team with a strong pass catcher. Not that Chris Carson can't catch passes, but he's also a really good grinder between the tackles. He can do kind of everything. So guys, I'm interested right now are pretty much like DJ Chark and then a bunch of quarterbacks. There are some other wide receivers I really like, but like I don't know, I feel like I could get them like the next round. Guys like Jarvis Landry and stuff. Tyler Boyd, I don't really like his draft slot too much. He goes a little higher than I would want. Dak going off kind of stinks. Juju, we don't know what team he's on. Odell, I have just absolutely no interest in. Debo, I have some interest in, but like, I think players you can get in the next couple rounds are just as good, more or less. Watson, huh? So QB, it's looking like it's like Herbert, Rodgers, Russ. Pretty tough. Well, Herbert's a guy I haven't really gotten much ownership on, so kind of a tough spot. I guess I'll take him. I think that broke kind of poorly for us that round, that's for sure. So, like, in other drafts, I would have expected to get, Cortland Sutton where I did, but then probably a better wide receiver this round than what was available. Chark is, like, almost always available at that pick for me, and I like him. Juju, I just, like, don't really have that strong opinion. It's not that I don't like these guys that get the top, but I mean, just, they're not any better than the next group of guys. Arguably, Herbert's not really any better than the next quarterbacks that are going to be available either. So, I think in this draft I might look to push my third quarterback for a bit and take somebody I haven't drafted, like a Drew Lock or something, but he's still like so high risk to be replaced. I think the risk is going down a bit. I mean, I've been reading that they're either gonna get Deshaun Watson or just roll with Lock, and they're gonna make a huge push for Watson, but I don't think that they can get that done. The Texans seem to really, really want to be drafting like the second best quarterback in the draft, and really only want to deal with the Jets or Miami. Not sure that Miami wants to deal with them that much, so it kind of come down to like the Jets. Tight end is just like not something we're that interested in, having already taken Kittle early. Though it certainly wouldn't be horrible. Debo is a guy I don't mind in this range. Jarvis Landry is a guy I like a lot in this range. I think he's like much, much better than his draft spot. Take a quick look. So I think we're just going to hammer yet another running back here. Take Ronald Jones. It's round 7. Really, really like Ronald Jones. He like has the big games you want for best ball. There's still a chance like that they don't bring Fournette back, just get some sort of like depth running back, and then go with Vaughn and Jones and the depth running back. So definitely eating it a bit here at wide receiver. So let's like highlight that and see what we can do. So next round, I would be pretty happy to get Debo or Jarvis Landry. Judy would be interesting. I wouldn't be that excited to take like a Waddle or Pittman just yet. So many great players down this range. This is like really like the range for wide receivers down this way. Surprised to still see Fant and Hawkinson on the board. But I would like to push it a bit before I take another tight end. Running back, we definitely don't need to take another one for quite some time. I'm just kind of interested on who's on the board. Michael Carter's a guy I would like to get another couple shares of. Some of these rookies are all right to take like a few shares of. Wouldn't mind getting like Mike Williams to go with Herbert. Seems like it would be kind of early to do that. Could YOLO this pick and just fucking grab Fant or Hawkinson if they're still on the board. Tight ends really like nobody seems to be too interested in. Hawkinson off the board, so it's all right. So Landry and Fant are probably the two players on the board I like the most. Devonta Smith interests me a little. Probably would want another round, and I don't think you'll get that. It's pretty early for Chuba Hubbard. So we could take the the steadiness of Jarvis Landry here. We could kind of shoot for the moon and just grab Fant. Yeah, we're going to do that. Just going to go for a massive positional advantage here at tight end with Kittle and Fant. Just not seeing the value at wide receiver we really want to be seeing, to be picking them, unfortunately. It sucks to just like keep letting them fall. Like, what is this, round 8 now? We've taken 1, but the value's presenting itself at other positions. What can you really do? Landry went to pick after Fant, so it was a good one for Don Wizard. So we're pretty much going to be hammering wide receiver, I guess, for the next few picks. Probably going to have to take some swings on some upside guys like a Bateman or Waddle, maybe, with our next pick. Pittman, it's all right. Mike Williams, maybe the round after, but not interested this round. Mims and Rondell Moore, big upside guys. Don't mind Gabe Davis, but like I don't really like where he's being taken in these drafts. He's basically being taken as if John Brown was already cut, and that hasn't happened just yet. Once John Brown is actually cut, I will be more comfortable taking him up there. I expect John Brown to be cut because the Bills can save money, but they don't really need money desperately. And their offense was quite a bit more efficient with John Brown, so it's not a guarantee. So, top wide receivers on the board for me are Waddle, Bateman, Pittman, and Gallup. Mike Williams, again, have some interest, but he would probably have to fall to my next pick, and I don't really expect that to happen. There is Gallup, so now we're down to Waddle, Pittman, and Bateman that we're interested in. There goes Stafford. I would probably take the rookies over Pittman here. Just think they have more upside. Might try to push our quarterback 3 down and snatch Drew Lock in this one. Don't really like Drew Lock that much, but we have Sutton and Fant, so like the chance we could have to get the double stack with them, and you actually get to wait on your third quarterback, which is nice because it's pretty hard. I mean, that's a big gamble, but it's not one we'll be doing often, right? I don't have a single share of Drew Lock, so if I'm going to get a single share of Drew Lock, it's going to be when I already have Cortland Sutton and Noah Fant, which to me are his top 2 targets. Goblin takes Pitts. Huh. Interesting. So we have like Kittle and Fant, and he has Pitts and Kelsey. His team and our team look so much alike. It's kind of strange. We have like an extra. We've got 3 running backs. How many does he have? Or we have 4 running backs. He has an extra quarterback on top of us with Watson and Wilson and a short running back. And we have like a vet and a rookie wide receiver. Interesting how much our teams are similar. Like I said, he's in almost every one of these drafts I do, so it's kind of cool. Trevor Lawrence off the board at 9-10. Brady. Not really like stressing too much about taking a second quarterback yet, but I might be in the next few rounds. So Pittman, Mike Williams, and Denzel Mims are the guys I'm most interested in still on the board. I have a little tiny bit of interest in Marvin Jones because I think he's like underpriced. The only problem is like I don't think regardless of landing spot he's going to go up much in these drafts. So I think I would just rather wait and see what the landing spot is. Like if he's the downfield threat for the Rams, he's probably not going to get a ton of targets. So if he ends up like the number 3 downfield threat for a team, that's not as good for him as ending up as the number 2, obviously. So I do have Pittman over Mike Williams, but I might take Mike Williams this time just because I don't think I have a single Mike Williams share, and if I'm going to get one, it's going to be when I already have Justin Herbert, right? So yeah, we've had some interesting picks in this draft. We kind of the plans did not go according to plan, and that'll happen in some of these, and you just got to kind of roll with the punches. Sometimes you think, "Oh, I'm going to do this and this and this," and then people just pick a little differently than you expected, or a little differently than your other drafts. So I'm either taking Pittman or Mike Williams here. Okay, easy pick. Got our Mike Williams to go with Justin Herbert, and that's nice. Sutton, Bateman, and Mike Williams is your top 3 wide receivers. It's not looking great, folks, but we do get 8 wide receivers in this draft, so that should help us out a bit. Just going to take a look at quarterback to see what's kind of bouncing around there. Ben is not for sure coming back to the Steelers, so I've taken him out of my player pool for now. I did have a share I got early, but I'm waiting to see what happens with that situation. Darnold, don't know where he's playing. Locke could be replaced, and like I said, if you are going to grab one share of Locke, have it be when you got your perfect stack targets for him. That way, if by some miracle he hits his ceiling, you're in the money big time. RBs. I have some interest in Damian Harris, but I don't see how he will last to us. And then not really much interest in anybody else for the near future. So we'll just keep our eye on if Damian Harris makes it to us or not. Wide receiver, I would love to get Mims. Rondell Moore is reasonable to start gambling on, but that would be 2 rookies already. The last one of these drafts, I actually drafted no rookie wide receivers, and that felt certainly strange. So if Mims is there when we pick, that's going to be our pick. If Mims is gone, I will consider Damian Harris over the remaining wide receivers, because the next group of a whole bunch of wide receivers would be about the same to me. One player I'm starting to try to get a few shares of is gladly take Mims here. Really like how that. I think that was a big pick for us. If he was there, there really wasn't other guys that I felt had similar upsides to him, and I was gonna. I mean, a guy like Ruggs, I guess, can, but he doesn't interest me that much. Marvin Jones, still finished as a top 20 wide receiver last year. There's nothing wrong with him. I just don't like drafting when we don't know where he's going to be, when he's also not going to get that much more expensive, no matter where he's going to be. So I'd rather just wait and get my shares when I have more information, right? So yeah, that's the thing about these ownership shares is you can get them, you don't have to worry about them in February. Worry about them in August, worry about them in September. Damian Harris went off the board, so we're not too interested in a running back for a bit. I have some interest in Damian Williams a little bit later, but not nearly this soon. We can start thinking about taking another quarterback pretty soon. We're in that whole Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk, Henry Ruggs part of the draft. Gabe Davis, like I said, I'd rather wait and get ownership shares on him once John Brown is out of the picture. I think if John Brown's there, then I just don't want to take Gabe Davis where he's getting taken. Rondell Moore is definitely standing out to me as a value this round. Some interesting Kirk and Ruggs. Kirk is a big play guy, but he's really pretty much disappointed so far. He's a guy I'd be much more interested in if I already had Kyler Murray than if I didn't. Definitely not drafting any more tight ends, so we just don't even need to worry about that. Quarterback is getting pretty thin. So I think I'm going to take a quarterback with my next pick. I don't mind taking Locke, like I said, as my third quarterback, but I want to get a solid 2. I think that there's only a few options left that are all that solid, so let's go ahead and scoop up one of those. I don't think either of these two guys will take a quarterback, so that's good. Which Green Goblin, he takes Connor. All right, we're going to take Daniel Jones. I just think his upside is far, far, far better than the other guys in this range, other than, like Justin Fields. But we don't know. Justin Fields could end up on the Falcons as backup for this year, and then going into a starting role. So pretty happy with our pick there. We can go back to the wide receivers in the next round. So now that we have Daniel Jones, obviously we have a little bit of extra interest in like a Slayton or Sterling Shepard. I do expect the Giants to add another wide receiver, so I think that those guys are both going to take hits. Kind of interested to see which one, assuming they do add a big wide receiver in the draft or free agency, like which of Shepard or Slayton wins out in two wide receiver sets. I would assume that Shepard would play more, but that there would be some sort of a split where like certain packages that were two wide receiver would be Slayton, certain packages would be Shepard. So coming up on our next pick, I have interest in Ruggs, Shepard, and Slayton. A little bit in Kirk as well. Mecole Hardman, not so much. Pretty much only want Mecole Hardman if I have Mahomes. He just doesn't get the targets, and I just don't think it's going to happen. He's a guy that I was pretty high on last year, and it just really doesn't seem to be working out that much. Shepard went, so that's kind of a bummer. I would have preferred him to Slayton. So I might be inclined to take a Kirk or a Ruggs over Slayton and just ditch on the stack piece. Like Kirk could step up into the 2 role now that Larry Fitzgerald is probably retiring. The Cardinals have made tweets alluding to it, but it's not official yet. So yeah, we're gonna let Slayton go here and take one of those guys. I guess I have more Ruggs, so I'll take a Kirk. They're two guys I don't really have a strong feeling on which one I'd rather have, so I'll just take the one I have less ownership on this time. So we're still pretty interested in wide receiver again. Wide receivers we have interest in are Ruggs still, Slayton, Paris Campbell, Terrace Marshall. A little bit in Gage. John Brown's not a guy I'm drafting. T.Y. Hilton is not a guy I'm drafting. The Green Bay guys, I just don't have that much interest in. I'd rather go down and go to a Jacoby Myers or a Tony. And N'Keal Harry is a guy I'm going to try to grab a couple of shares of, and I know that probably just made you vomit all over your keyboard, but I only have one share. I do not love it at all. He's shown almost nothing, but the situations were just so strange. The rookie year, they basically didn't want to use him at all. And then last year, he was with a quarterback that threw 5 touchdowns during the fantasy season. I know he threw 8, but 3 were week 17. Relax, folks. So he threw 5 during the fantasy season in Cam Newton. So I still think that there's some small percentage chance for an N'Keal Harry hit. I still think he probably has the talent for that hit to be pretty big, and yeah, he probably doesn't get there, but if he does, he's going late enough now that it's actually interesting to me. More of a round 16, 17 guy. I'm not really looking at him in the next 2, but Russell Gage. Probably looking at one of Ruggs or Slayton here. If they both go, then I might choose between Paris Campbell, Terrace Marshall. I like the upside of a Campbell a lot more than Jacoby Myers, who's also somewhat interesting to me. Terrace Marshall really reminds me a lot of T. Higgins tape from the year before, where like you don't maybe see the flashiness of some of the top guys, but you just see a guy who's just going to get the job done over and over again. So I'm either going to take Ruggs or Slayton here. I would prefer Ruggs. I will just give up the stack piece in Slayton because I just think Ruggs is much higher upside, so we're just going to do that. So that's something I'm changing a little from last year to this year. Is I'm trying to not overvalue stacking. I think I overvalued stacking a little bit last year. I mean, we still got some in here, right? We got Herbert and Mike Williams. We're going to maybe consider taking Locke in the next couple of rounds and have Sutton, Locke, and Fant. Obviously, there's some chance that Locke is not the Denver quarterback, so we are not going to be looking to add much Locke. We will be looking to add a Locke or two in this exact situation where we have the top two targets. Slayton was the next wide receiver off the board after Ruggs. I just feel like he is the upside of those two players is just too wide of a gap. So there's some players that go late that are big play guys that I think you should consider in these drafts that are not the most exciting names. And those are guys like KJ Hamler, who was actually on the team that won the Underdog 200K last year. Not an exciting guy, right? But he can score those long touchdowns. And a 17-point play, that guy's usually going to get in your lineup. Another guy is Donovan Peoples-Jones. Could get a bump up in usage depending on what happens with the Browns. I don't really expect that to happen, so he's not a guy I'm going nuts to go get. But I don't mind one or two super, super late shares of him. Because, we saw him make a few big plays and score a few big touchdowns. So this round, I'm kind of interested in Paris Campbell or Jacoby Myers. A little interest in Tony. Then not very interested I have interest in Tylan Wallace, but he's a guy I just have an absurd amount of ownership on, so I can definitely afford to pass him here and there. Still need one more running back. It's pretty thin at the old RB. I think we could definitely wait around on Locke. I wouldn't even be that sad if we, miss him. Would be a little sad, not that sad. I don't really see much of any value here at running back, so I'm just gonna take Jacoby Myers, who I like a decent amount. Probably just take a running back in round 17 or 18 as our fifth. So we got 7 wide receivers. So we basically need a quarterback, a running back, and a wide receiver. Makes sense to take our wide receiver last. I think our group there is actually pretty solid compared to we were at one point, had just Cortland Sutton and Bateman, and weren't loving the value of the picks that were popping up. So we're kind of patient and got picks of value that we did like, and pretty much all the rest of our picks, right? Williams, Mims, Kirk, Ruggs, and Myers were all players where we were kind of excited to draft them. And this is why you're patient, because now you take a look at that group and you're all right, I like that group. I feel good about the value I got on all of them. So, don't panic if the draft isn't really breaking your way as you go. So key points where we could have drafted a wide receiver and chose not to, or the Etienne pick, where I think that there was good value wide receivers at that point, but running back was going to start to look real thin after that. Ronald Jones, where I think he was just clearly way better than the wide receivers on the board. And then same thing with Fant. I wasn't planning to really draft a second tight end that high, having drafted Kittle, but this could create a huge positional advantage for us. And I just thought he was much better value than the wide receivers that were available. So I'm happy with the way we bobbed and weaved. Value RB is kind of booty. We might take a shot on Stevenson or Kylan Hill if one of them makes it to us the next round, which I don't think they will. I don't really hate, I don't despise taking Sony Michel in the last 2 rounds. No, Sony Michel, yeah. But, I mean, they've got some guys leaving town in New England, and Burkhead and White. I expect White's role to pretty much be absorbed by J.J. Taylor, but Harris has also seemed like he's had trouble staying healthy, so. And the yards, taking Drew Lock over guys that can actually do stuff, huh? That's not really what we're doing. All right. We're going to get our 1 Drew Lock share. Ow. That sucked. Sometimes in best ball, you really got to consider these ownership things, and yeah, that one wasn't good. Didn't like it. But we swallowed it down. We're going to get plenty of Lance if we want him once he goes into a spot where he's going to start. I just think that that's so unlikely to happen. I think he's very, very unlikely to be a guy that starts much year one. I mean, the guy has almost not played football in 2 years now. He basically played 1 year in college, and it wasn't even Division I. It was 1A. I do think he will be a very, very good fantasy quarterback once he gets his opportunity. I just do not expect that opportunity to come this soon. At running back, we are very interested in Ramondre Stevenson. If you get into the right spot, he could be very, very good. Other than that, I mean, I think the next person we're interested in is Sony Michel, and that's just disgusting. We don't even have too many high-valued backups out there. Goblin was pretty good when he got in for Saquon. But Boston Scott's a reasonable backup where he gets bonus if Sanders is hurt. Plus he's not useless otherwise. He'll get some catches and maybe get you some points. Ferkster quite a bit. So Marlon Mack, I don't think is going to go into a starting role. James White will probably be a pass catcher for someone, so he's not terrible. But I think of these running backs, yeah. All right, we'll take Stevenson. This guy could definitely slam if he gets the right landing spot. That's nice. The couple of shares I had of Stevenson I took earlier than that. So, who's interesting still at wide receiver? I like KJ Hamler. Well, let's not mention people then. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have went with a third target that's Drew Lock anyway. I like to keep it to 2, especially when we don't know bye weeks, and that would be a guaranteeing 3 players, 2 wide receivers and a tight end with the same bye week. So I could have got a little dicey, but other players that we're still interested in: Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tamorrion Terry, huge upside. Also, huge downside of not playing at all. But this guy could be a Chase Claypool type man. He's just an absolute animal. So fast, so big, so strong. I assume that no one has dared to take and kill Harry yet, right? No, he's still chilling way down here, so I guess I'll get an ownership on sharing him if nobody takes him. Well, that will give us Jacoby Myers and N'Keal Harry. Small upside cap on that. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown. I like Terry. It's unfortunate there's some guys that are just not in the player pool yet that would be interested in. Those are De'Ami Brown, Elijah Moore, Jamar Jefferson at running back, and none of those guys have been added yet to the player pool, which stinks. But they will, I imagine, be in the post-draft contest that comes up. There goes Tamorrion Terry. Good pick for that person. Take a look at Goblin's team. He drafted 3 tight ends. I definitely don't like that. Yeah, I don't really love his team, to be honest. I like it. I don't love it. Like his wide receivers, he did not get as good value as we did there. Okay. Grotesque. At least it's around 18 Harry share. If we're going to get any Harry shares, that's where we would like them. So let's take a look at our position groups. We've got Herbert, Daniel Jones, Locke. Obviously, if Locke, gets replaced preseason, this could be a problem. But I love the value on Daniel Jones. We got two real big upside guys. We got Locke as a complete wild card. I don't expect to really be that good. Running backs, we've got Kamara, Sanders, Etienne, Ronald Jones, and Stevenson. Love it. If Stevenson hits, this could really be an insane group. Wide receiver, I think our wide receiver group ended up way, way better than I would initially have thought as this draft was going on, and we kept getting sniped on picks and didn't like the value, but we got Sutton, Bateman, Mike Williams, which we got to go with Herbert. We've got Denzel Mims, Kirk, Ruggs, Myers, Harry. We also have Sutton that goes with Locke. We don't have anyone that goes with Daniel Jones, but that's okay. We got a tight end. We've got Kittle and Fant, which is A+. So altogether, I think that was a pretty cool draft, and good luck in your drafts, folks.